You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Johannes Ekström of Avatar. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers.
So I said to him, no way, you did not say that. No, you did not say that.
No, I did. Yeah, I did. I did. Right to her face?
Yeah, right to her face. Right to her face. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the ToneMob.com podcast, the show about guitar tone and people behind it. As you know, I'm Blake Weiland, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with one Mr. Robert Keeley. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, been a great day. I lost my headphones, but, there was a Target available, so I bought some new headphones. So, the trials and tribulations of recording demos when you lose your headphones.
Yes.
Otherwise, the day was picture perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Recording demos. Are these new pedals, or are these pedals that we have seen? Well, of course, every week you have a new pedal, so...
Every week we have a new pedal is the mantra, but today was special because we had the Gold Star Reverb that's going to be released tomorrow, and Lance Seymour of Gear Talk did a demo, and I was going to do a technical demo on the distorted reverb, kind of a unwieldy beast to play, and the pedal offers a lot of different sounds and stuff like that, so I was going to try to record one. Everything was okay until I couldn't, listen to the tracks back to understand what I was doing, so at any rate... Got some new headphones, and maybe later on tonight I'll record some more. Right on.
Do you have a little home studio that you do those in, or do you do them at the shop?
I have the infancy, the genesis of a home recording studio, and so upstairs in my office, I set up something, and I'm still playing with it. I don't really sit on camera too often, so that's going to be my future role, and. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm trying to have fun doing it. So I got to get all the pieces in place for the recording gear, monitoring, playback, understanding what I'm doing.
Right,
camera angles, lighting, all that stuff. So I really want to move into that, though. It's kind of fun to see the guy that at least directs, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more, directs what pedals are being produced and what sounds are being produced to demonstrate them for people to show what I like about the sounds and what I think is inspiring.
That's very cool. I think people will really enjoy that. I mean, there's lots of demo guys that do great work, and that's why they do it. But I think it'll be an interesting angle for you to approach it from that. I mean,
sure.
On a regular basis. There are companies that do that, but if you're going to do it consistently, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, what's... I'd have to use the word even jealous. The folks at Catlin Bread, I think the guy's name is Howard. He plays some incredible demos, and every time I watch it, I go away bruised and beaten because I'm like, that's exactly how I would do it. And now I can't do it because they've done it so perfectly. I have to walk away from it and go, okay, find your own place. But when exactly, man. When people are involved in the production of the gear and then show you how wonderfully it works, it's magic. And I think that's what they've done. I want to do that for my pedals, so I just got to get set up for it. So
nice. So we can be looking forward to that very soon. Then I take it.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna put out a couple of them. I'm sure it'll be a learning process and stuff like that. But it is fun to show off the different sounds and explain it from a very technical standpoint where people can understand the controls and how they interact, how they make different sounds so that people can hear it kind of from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and understand exactly what they're getting and what they can do with it.
Right. That's cool. I'll look forward to that for sure. So that's awesome. I love hearing that. So I better stop myself right now before I do what I sometimes do and did on the last episode I recorded. Before I get away from my questions, because I think a lot of people would be really interested to hear, and I know I am, about my big standard question, which is, what is Rob Keeley's musical backstory, and how did it lead you to doing what you're doing today?
Man, I like my backstory. I like my history because my history started with music. It started with my grandma buying me a guitar from a place called the Music Gallery, which is still in business right outside of Chicago, Highland Park, Illinois. Bought me probably at the time it was probably $35 to $70 for a Yamaha student guitar, an FG, whatever, fill in the blank, 35, 36.
Right.
And I would go to my dad's practice. My dad would practice with a lady, and they would play songs, everything from Stairway to Heaven to oh my gosh, other 70s hits. I'll think of them in just a second. But, they would do anything from Heart to Led Zeppelin to Carly Simon to, Pete Seeger, to anybody that was popular. And the running joke at the time was that my dad was going to the library. Well, the library was a bar in Upper Michigan, right outside Michigan Tech University. So my dad was going to the library, a.k.a. he was going to jam and make some music, and that's how he paid for his college and, kept us
nice
in food and diapers. So that's kind of how it started. When we moved from the United States to Germany, my dad got stationed in Germany. I went through high school in Germany. They listened to me play You Really Got Me Now on a Dan Electro incessantly in the Chevy station wagon until they said, when they got to New York, they were like, let's box this thing up and ship it because we don't want to listen to You Really Got Me Now for the 10,000th time. So off the guitar went. I got to Germany, and it was about I don't know, late fall. They got me for Christmas. They got me a Squier Stratocaster. Those are the good ones, the Japanese ones from the 80s, the 84, 85, and 84. And so there I was, blessed with my dad's PV Deuce amplifier, this 6L6 monster that was like a Fender Twin type of thing.
Nice.
And I know it was so awesome and so loud, and Squier Stratocaster, which in retrospect is a great guitar. So I had this incredible guitar, and incredible amplifier, and I lived out in a village far away from the rest of German civilization, so I got to play for 8 hours a day. My whole world became music. So that's kind of like the earliest background. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, I saved up for a Fostex 4-track, recorded, Beethoven stuff with heavy distortion, Ibanez, metal charger pedals, and did symphonies on there. Played in bands, learned Yngwie songs, note for note. But that's the earliest beginnings of it. Trying to understand, what my dad was doing with, folk and classic rock, probably classic rock. And then when I moved to Germany, everything was heavy metal. So it was a blend of those two things. And I think, great gear for the time.
Right.
And so that's kind of the earliest part. There's a middle section which transforms to more of a high fidelity, more of a higher understanding of sound. But that's the early part.
Okay, well, I mean, continue on. You gotta
Okay, so
go through the whole time, man.
yeah, so throughout Germany, playing in bands was great and informative. Lots of learning of different styles. Like I'd get this magazine called Guitar for the Practicing Musician, and it would have everything from Kiss and Crocus to Al Di Meola and Yngwie Malmsteen. And
Wow.
so there was no internet, there was no nothing like that. So I'd get the magazine, I'd be waiting anxiously. Everything is behind in Germany at the time. So I'd be waiting for the issue to come out, finally get the issue, and pore over it for, an entire month, learning the material. Then, when I moved from Germany to the United States, I worked in stereo stores. The stereo stores gave me this kind of halfway snobbish thing because there was some tube audio there. There was a lot of new CD players and DVDs and stuff like that. And I started working on the gear. I had great guys that helped me understand how to troubleshoot the gear and what made, audio gear great and what made it mediocre. And so then for the next, I think, 15 years, I worked in different stereo stores, repairing audio gear and understanding, what makes things tick, what makes things sound good, what works, what doesn't work. And often I go ahead and say that stuff was really informative and formative in my development of the early mods, the early Keeley Electronics gear, like the compressor and stuff like that, because the parts I chose were the same parts I saw in the high-end gear. So, the first 15 or so years I lived here in Oklahoma, it was that became the basis for what became amplifiers that I made in the 90s to effects pedals in 2000s. So that's kind of how it started,
That's that timeline makes like 100% sense for how you got to where you are today. Like that, all those pieces fit together, and it's like, oh, okay. Clearly, what else would he be doing right now?
Sure. When I first got here to Oklahoma, it was a dramatic change. You have to imagine living in Germany and everything's green, everything's kind of cool and not hippie, not hipster, but something was very, very cool about it. I come to this forsaken place called Oklahoma, and it's desolate. I mean, it was like December when I got here, so everything's brown and destroyed and forlorn, and it just took off on this journey where I was like, wow, I need to make money. I need to do electronics because the only thing I understand that makes money is what my dad did. My dad
Right.
was my dad was an electrical engineer. He made good money, so let me go ahead and start school. Let me go ahead and start electronics. Let me figure this out. And, I tried different like coffee shop bands and country bands and whatever became of it. And eventually I found my way to an engineer that was making his own circuit boards and doing crazy stuff for glamour shots. Remember there was a place that did photography in malls called
Oh,
Glamour Shots?
geez,
Yeah,
really?
and so I worked for the engineer that developed that stuff, is JT Hensley, and he designed that gear. We modified these Panasonic thermal printers and Sony thermal printers. So the concept of modding actually came to me in the mid '90s from this guy that owned a company called Industrial Video. He modified thermal printers, things that printed out pictures of ladies, lab rats, because we did stuff for both medical facilities and glamour shots.
Right.
So those things kind of took place there. I saw circuit boards being made, and I saw circuits being modified, and so it became kind of second nature, or it became something that was, I didn't give a second thought to when it came to understanding how amplifiers were modified in the later '90s, mid '90s, where I saw like Gerald Weber of Kendrick amplifiers, making modifications to basement amplifiers. Those basement amplifiers, he built a company on, and that's exactly how I got started in modifying gear. So the amplifiers came first. Modifying gear was already natural to me, and so then fast forward to 2001 when I decided to make a Ross compressor. It was very easy to use the stuff that I had learned in the hi-fi gear, modifying equipment, making my own circuit board, and producing a product, because that's what I had done with the Glamour Shot stuff and the stuff for the Health Science Center and the medical facility stuff. So making my own product seemed very natural. At the time, it was kind of new. I mean, there was, Mike Fuller, Analog Man, a couple other folks.
Right.
And so it was a lot of fun making that gear at the time. It seemed like kind of like the Wild West, So that's kind of how it started. Those are all the pieces that fit together.
Right. So did you started off making the compressor, or did you start off with the like TS9 and mods and things that you were also known for at the time?
That's a great question. So in the mid-90s, I started with amplifiers. I wanted to build like deluxes and basements. And my boss at the time at a stereo store called Audio Midwest, he didn't quite get it. I gave him a business proposal. I said, hey, we can make these vintage amplifiers recreations. They're doing popular. Vintage Guitar Magazine has them in there. There's all these folks. We can do it. And he didn't buy it. So a couple years, yeah, exactly. A couple years passed by. And then only because I wanted to find that sound that Trey Anastasio of Fish had, did I start to make compressors, and so I built my first compressor based off some notes off the internet, and it just happened like that. The first compressor took a couple months to build parts, troubleshoot it, and when I heard it for the first time, it was completely amazing, and it was not life-changing, but it was so different than how I had heard any other compressor that I was like, oh, this is great. I'll put this up on eBay. I know people will like this because it sounds good to my ears. And that's how it started. So, I sold the first compressor in September 2001. And it really just honestly took off from there.
So when did you start offering? Oh boy, here's my buddy, the train guy. We'll just pretend he's not there. He came by last time too. He's been annoying me lately. But anyway, so did you start? When did you started on eBay? When did Keeley Electronics kind of get you realize that is what you're gonna do full time?
Well, so it actually happened that September 11th, 2001, I delivered the first compressor. I went off to school. Next thing I know, the principal of the school came to me and put a TV in my room, showed me what was happening with the world. We kind of ran off and hid for a while on September 11th, but I had shipped off the first compressor, and they sold. And next thing I know, I built another one. It sold, and as fast as I could build them, they would sell on eBay. That was 2001. By 2002, May of 2002, I put in my notice that I was leaving and started Keeley Electronics full time. So it really kind of started full time in 2002. The origins of it, and that stuff became, was 2001. So it's just been a magic ride since then. It really has.
So how long before you had to realize you needed to start bringing people in to help you out? Because
Actually, that's
how
cool.
long were you
That's
by
really
yourself?
cool. No, I was never by myself except for the first unit. So what happened is, I was already teaching at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was this guy, Jacob Adams. Jacob Adams was my first employee, and he was a student of mine at Vatterott College. And one day, all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door. I go to the door. I'm like, "Who the hell is here at the first crack of dawn?"
Mm-hmm.
And here's Jacob Adams, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, what you doing here?" He's like, "You told me to come here and start building pedals or something." And I was like, "Oh, that's right. Yesterday I told you to come to my house and we were going to start building pedals." I'm standing there in my underwear. Jacob will tell you the same truth. Jacob runs a company called Mammoth
Oh
Electronics,
yeah.
and so Jacob was my first employee. I don't remember what day he started, but Jacob has been in it since day one with me. So um, if you think any of these stories are fabrications, Jacob can verify any of them. But no, it was just like that. I mean, we started modifying TS9s and BD2s shortly after that, and then DS1s when Dave Weiner from Steve Vai's camp sent some DS1s in to mod. That was really inspiring, and we came up with the DS. I came up with the DS Ultra mod at that time. So it just really blossomed in those first couple of years. Jacob and I was there, a couple other guys, and took off from there.
Very cool.
Oh yeah.
That's very cool. And you've pretty much kept going ever since then. Like there's not really been much of a break for you, has there? Or am I
No, I mean,
mistaken on that?
no, I mean, the break that exists is where, you know, um, I don't know how to put it delicately, but the break became when I got hooked on um, prescription pills. And so I kind of went into this hibernation and this kind of greedy type, thing that happens with pain pills. Pain pills, for any listener or anybody who's familiar with it, kind of make you, uh, re, you know, go into your own world. You think everything's fine, and everything is not fine. And so I would have to say for many years, we lived off the incredible success of those first years. So, until I quit pills in 2012, the company was kind of running on autopilot. I had a couple people that, like Jacob, that did some absolutely fantastic work with me. I had a couple engineers, Sylvester and another guy that helped me with the phaser and the Luna.
Mm-hmm.
But the company kind of stagnated while every other company, JHS, Earthquaker, Wampler, Catlin Bread, kind of grew up around me. So when I finally opened my eyes in February of 2012, I had a lot of very serious competition. So, we enjoyed some great success in the mid 2000s, and it slowly petered out until woke up, and then I formed a new team of folks that have brought about all this incredible change. That's I think groundbreaking for the effects world. I think we've had our best year ever, and that's what's happening now.
So that's interesting. I don't know if very many people know about that part of your life. What did it? Was there like a did the people you were working with know that you were having trouble, or was it kind of a you kept it to yourself type of thing because you didn't think it was a
No,
problem?
that's really interesting. I think some people knew, some people understood. But it's kind of like I was the boss, so they didn't want to say anything.
Right.
So it kind of I got to, I bought endless guitars, I bought fancy Porsches. I mean, crazy type, I don't know. Ill-gotten gains is what I call it. Ill-gotten gains. And
Okay.
so I had a tremendous amount of, success. And the people around me noticed it, were very concerned, but, chose to move on, or which I don't blame them one bit, chose to move on. And it kind of allowed me to find a place where I needed to make a definitive change and move on. And that's what happened in 2012. I said, you know, um, this is not working at all.
Right.
This is not working at all. I had what's now an ex-wife that, was instrumental in the destruction of the company. I had myself instrumental in the destruction of the company. And I said, okay, enough with all that. And I moved on. I said, that's it. Time to quit and time to move on. Quit the pills. Found people that were very supportive of me. So like Lisa Hale, and who I hope we talk a whole bunch about, Creighton Hale, came in and were instrumental in helping me get through not only the 1.5 year divorce, but then transforming the company with new designs and new product and increasing our skill level. I don't know how many fold, tenfold would be probably shy of what we've done. So
Right.
it's that kind of, transformation where I said, enough of this. I want something better. I'm so tired of being, in the gutter. Even though the money was coming in. I mean, heck, even at the worst point during that stuff, I think we were making something, obscene, like $2 million a year. But it quickly fell away. It quickly vanished because I had so much good competition and, no support structure after years of just living off the compressor and katana. So,
Right.
that change in 2012 couldn't have come, any sooner. It was perfect timing.
It really was, and that's I think it's kind of interesting if you step back and look at it from a consumer standpoint. Now that you've laid that story out for us,
Mm-hmm.
you can see the change right in that time frame.
Oh yeah,
It's visible
sure.
from a product standpoint, and not that anybody knew you were having trouble. I'm sure from a consumer standpoint, but it's obvious that there was a big shift at that point in the game.
Sure, sure. I mean, the first thing that came out was like a red dirt. It was essentially our TS9
Mm-hmm.
on a new platform, and then a whole year later, Creighton and I developed the Seafoam, which was incredibly difficult to do. It was unique. It wasn't a copy of anything, um, but those two pedals took a full year, and then 2014 unleashed, and it was a pedal a month, and then now you've seen 2015. We can do anything. We can almost poke fun at manufacturing a new sound. We can do one, every couple of weeks. We can do one in front of the camera. So um, it took a lot of background work to build up the platform, the skills. Um, Aaron Tackett doing CNC stuff, and then eventually in 2015 doing DSP stuff. All these partners, if you will, came into play. So it's that's what happened in the past 2 years.
So you have all these people that have come into the fold, so to speak. Where do you track down that level of talent and then have as many of them as you have? I mean, that's just like people would kill
Um,
for that.
yeah. So what happens is they kind of fall in your lap, or they kind of exist, but then once you realize it, you have to foster that talent. You have to not only push them to do their job and to learn new things, but then you have to let them grow on their own. So that's been the I mean, That is the complete key to success. Once you have the talent there, you have to force them to learn new things. Then once you pick out the players that are capable of creating on their own, you have to stand back, because then they're as excited as you were a decade ago, and they're creating new things. They're creating right along with you. So all I do is, kind of call out the project outline, the vision for the thing, and they're there to create and amaze you. And that's what the past, that's what 2014, 2015 have been. Just harnessing the talents of people that now have skills, have the tools, like a CNC, a printer that prints on the cases, the CAD programs that Creighton works with. Those things, have helped me succeed.
That's very, very cool. Like,
Oh, it is.
it's fascinating to hear about that behind the scenes stuff. I have so many questions, and then I
Sure, go ahead.
trying to pick the one to ask. It's like it's hard when there's so much cool stuff going on. I just have all these questions about DSP because I understand it on the surface of it, but like if I was to try to like put my finger into that, it would probably frighten me, and I'd end up crouched in a corner somewhere.
The DSP stuff is like that. It's very exciting because you can't burn yourself with a soldering iron, and when you can't break the leg off a resistor or a capacitor, and you don't have to order parts. So DSP, digital signal processing, is using your imagination, your programming skills, working with the hardware and software to maximize your creativity. And so if I were to tell Creighton, hey man, we need to come up with a tremolo circuit that randomly vibrates the pitch to simulate a tape deck, it could take us months to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the DSP world, I tell Aaron, use a random number generator, have that tickle some sort of pitch shifting algorithm, and in 5 minutes it's done. In 2 minutes it's done because he already has it done. So the building blocks for DSP are incredible tools for creating new products. I've been working with DSP since the 1999, 1998, and it's based on programming and getting a computer to process audio signals. So it's incredibly fun, incredibly rewarding, and you can do magic with it. That's the fun thing with it. It doesn't take hardware components to make something happen. You can make it happen, and you can dream bigger than you can in the analog world. So DSP has been very rewarding for our company, even in the very early stages.
Is there and this is my very rudimentary look at it from a player's perspective, and I'm sure you have a much more insight into it than I do. But when I look at the digital pedals and things, I'm like, okay, verbs, reverbs, delays, that kind of thing. Of course, they're just knocking it out of the park with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I haven't yet experienced myself a drive or a fuzz or any kind of dirt pedal really that was digital that really knocked my socks off. Like, and I don't know if that's me being kind of a snob, or if that's me if that's a real, like, a legitimate complaint. Is that
No.
what do you think about that?
No, it's a legitimate complaint. Um, I think the only person that I've heard do it really, really convincingly myself is Dr. Mark Gallo. He has an product called Amplifier. It uses 2 Shark processors. These heavy-duty DSP processors, the same stuff that's used in the Strymon stuff. It uses 2 of them to finally get gain, distortion, heavy gain, correct. It takes a lot of processing power to get those nuances correct. And not many people do it. I think that Kemper profiling amplifier
Right.
uses a pair of those. And so it takes an extraordinary amount of processing power, speed, memory, and technique in crafting code to understand how to make something that sounds good for guitar players. So, for example, we have a distorted reverb as one mode of our Gold Star reverb that'll be released tomorrow. And, I think Aaron and I have done a good job talking about it and crafting something that sounds good with a very simple spin FV1 processor. I think we've done a good job with it. It just puts distortion on the trails of the reverb, so it's it's not critical for, say, your core sound. But for an effect, I think it's a blast. It offers something new. I don't know of any other pedal that does it. So you're right. When I got my first digital distortion pedal, a Digitech pedal that had 20 presets, no matter what parameter you wanted to change, no matter how many things you could store and save, it never sounded as good as some sort of Boss dirt box.
No,
that was the 80s. So no, I hear you. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of processing capabilities to get distortion to sound right.
Right. I mean, with the Kemper stuff, it makes sense to me why they would do that. But as far as a pedal goes, just if you were just to have like a digital distortion with a bunch of different modes, it almost doesn't seem worth the effort, as difficult as it sounds like it is. I mean, maybe I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking out loud.
No, I think you're exactly correct. I wouldn't choose digital profiling, DSP, signal processing for distortion as my first choice. Way too expensive. It would take, I don't know, $20 in parts to get it even remotely correct, maybe $30 in parts to get it remotely correct, when we know that a RAT or a DS1 or a TS9 can cost, fractions of a quarter to get right. So
right, exactly.
I mean, there's no point. But when you start making multi-effects units and dreaming of bigger things, then it becomes pretty cool. Because like my friend Dr. Mark Gallo said, he can simulate voltages on the tubes that don't exist in the real world. Something that would melt the plates of a 6L6, even an American one. He can simulate things that just simply couldn't exist, but that sound delicious, sound fantastic, outside the realm of reality. So, at some point in time, it does make sense. There is the processing speed, the power to do things with distortion that don't exist currently, and I think we're kind of on that edge, on that boundary.
Now that sounds cool. That's something I could get involved in.
Oh yeah,
very cool. Yeah. I'm wondering what that even sounds like. Is that old thing where, like, I heard this tall tale the other day. I don't know if this is even true, but I heard it. Where, like, I believe it was Prince set a guitar amp on fire and recorded it as it was burning in like a concrete room somewhere. I wonder if you'd get some sort of weird sounds like that, if that's even a true story. I have no
Well,
idea.
you know
But
what's kind of fun about that, true or not, the essence of the story is that something happened at that fleeting moment, where you can't replicate it, and that's kind of what I think amplifier does, and what DSP is going to be capable of doing, not only for me or for a host of other people, but maybe even more so for the DIY crowd. I
oh,
think
right.
there's SpinCAD, which is something that allows people to create on the Spin/FV1 format. So you can start to create some of these reverbs and delays with darn near no technical ability or understanding of what's going on. You literally, connect dots, color inside the lines, and you can start to create these effects pedals. It doesn't allow you the control over nuance, and it doesn't allow you to, it doesn't give you a license to use your own brain for what sounds good. It just says you can make a reverb, you can make it a chorus, you can make a delay.
Right.
But I think, to your point, what happened in the room when the amplifier was on fire and getting ready to, be destroyed. What kind of great sounds came of it? Well, now you can create those sounds digitally. So I'm not saying it's the answer for everything. It's really not. I mean, the same folks that create those things get turned on by a fuzz pedal that we do. So,
Right.
two transistor germanium thing. They're like, dang, man, Arcade, that thing sounded killer, man. What did you do? I'm like, I did nothing new that hasn't been done in 30 years. It's just that your fancy, NASA computer still can't, capture those things quite exactly. So it's kind of funny, huh?
It is kind of a comical thing to think about, but it's like, man, I love that sound. Like there's always that sound that you're searching for as a gearhead, and sometimes those simple circuits, it's just like,
Oh yeah,
really what is needed. It's kind of a funny thing. Like we get sometimes overwhelmed with giant pedal boards and all kinds of different everything going on, but sometimes there's something to be said. Like I'll just take everything apart, Les Paul Jr. into maybe a fuzz face or something similar, and just go in a one channel amp, and it's like, man, that feels good.
Oh yeah, no kidding. It really does. It really does.
So that might be a good way to slide into one of my usual questions, which would be, I don't know how much playing out you get to do these days, or if you're too busy cranking out all these pedals, but if you do playing on a regular basis, what's your current rig kind of look like?
Shoot, you caught me, man. You caught me fair and square. I haven't played out in forever. I mean, I've been so wrapped up in business and things like that I have not had a regular gig in many years since I was in college. So I've had a couple invites here recently that are more than attractive, but I want to get back to that. Trust me. I'm trying to actually change my role at Keeley Electronics so that I can do more recording and playing out. But right now, I don't play out. What pedals I enjoy are 30 milliseconds, our Oxblood, our 1962, a couple other pedals that are the best stuff we've ever created. So when I play, it's more rewarding than ever to play my own gear, so I can definitely point at what I enjoy playing now and what other players, are enjoying now. I know that the sounds that I'm getting when I am learning this recording process are better than I've ever heard from my company in a long time. So I don't have a gig right now, man.
That's not too surprising. With the volume you guys are putting out, I couldn't imagine you having a whole lot of time for much else.
No, but I do understand the magic of playing live and getting the stuff work live so that you can be inspired and play music. When you can be inspired and the sounds come out naturally and you can just kind of let go, that's where the magic happens. That's where I want people to be, where the sound is very rewarding and very effortless to get a good sound. So that's always been, my goal.
Right. Oh, I know something I wanted to ask you about. So this has been a little while ago. Probably 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
You did a post on Instagram of various sections of your personal pedal collection.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen anything like that in my life. Like that was like every music store in my area is in your closet. It was
Yeah.
In your estimation, I know this is not even really a fair question to ask. How many pedals do you think you own, roughly?
I don't know.
Not including your own, what your company has in stock, whatever. Just your personal collection.
Those pictures didn't even show the whole thing. I couldn't get the whole collection in there. I mean, it was frustrating because, some of the vintage wah stuff and, some of the funky stuff was in the background. You couldn't capture it. I don't know, man. There's probably, I can tell you, it took me and my son and a buddy of mine, Chris Mahoney. It took us and Aaron, I think it took us like a whole hour to using, postal mail tubs to move them from one room to another. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I don't even want to put a number on it. It's kind of scary to put a number on it. I know it's a fraction of what I had because, like I told you, I lost most everything in a divorce. I mean, I had these stackable mail tubs full of vintage 808s and Bosses and MXRs and, stuff like that. So, I mean, whatever you saw in that picture there, which was pretty cool looking, was just a fraction of what I've had. So,
wow.
I don't know. There's lots of pedals. Most of them are most of them are gone. Most of the good ones are gone. So whatever you saw in there was just a fraction.
Oh no, the good ones have taken flight. Oh, that's terrible. I hate to hear that.
Yeah, that's all right.
But man, yeah, I was trying to explain that because one of my friends the other day, he's like, "Oh, some guy, you got a lot of pedals." I'm like, "No, I don't." I'm like, I have a good amount. You know who has a lot of pedals? Rob Keeley has a lot of pedals. Yeah. So it's like trying to explain to him what I had witnessed. It was like mind blowing. So
yeah, I'll have to put some more pictures up here so you can point to them. But no, pedals are fun because they are easier than an amplifier, easier than a guitar, oftentimes, to get a new sound and to inspire you to create new music. So that's what the magic is in pedals.
I agree.
It's a quick way to find your muse, find some way to get inspired. If you had to buy a guitar to get inspired or change pickup, selector switch, change the tone controls on your amplifier, it's a little more difficult. But if you can, I'm not saying it's necessarily better, but it is a way to get the creative juices flowing and to start creating, and that's what it's about. So
most definitely.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm looking through things here. I'm so professional.
You're good. You're good.
Do you have a particularly a favorite circuit? Now that's hard, not really fair to ask, but do you have you could just point to one and be like, either one you've created or just one that you're really impressed with?
Well, that's a good question because some of the circuits that I'm impressed with, I don't fully understand or know by heart or anything like that. For example, I think the Line 6 DL4 is a complex, beautiful, circuit. It's just as awesome to me as the Fender 5E3 Deluxe circuit.
Mm-hmm.
A 1959 Fender Deluxe is just as inspiring and magical as that DL4 in my mind. So there's several circuits like that just make a lot of magic. I truly enjoy our new Oxblood in 1962. Those things are great sounding. They're very easy to play. They're fun to make music on. I enjoy our the platform that holds our 30 milliseconds or our reverb. Those circuits sound good and are fun and inspiring. So I mean, there's classic circuits. Obviously, I like the TS9 quite a bit. I mean, who doesn't? Fun
No
circuit.
kidding.
It's very malleable. You can change it. You can do a bunch of different things with it. So there's some circuits like that. You know, a circuit I think is fun is the Neutron 3. The Neutron
Oh,
3
that
has
thing's
got
cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's got all kinds of stuff you can learn from it. All kinds of different circuit elements that that help your understanding of how sound works and how things become dynamic. That's what I like about that circuit a lot is that there's a lot of filters so that the sound is made vocal or forced in one way or another, and then there's things that measure your pick attack and your playing so that it influences some other part of the circuit. And that's kind of what's made our DSP stuff a lot of fun, because instead of setting up big complex circuits that kind of weigh or measure your playing, your attack, your what the envelope is, to control some other part of the circuit, you can do that so much more easily with DSP. So we can create dynamic based modulation or dynamic based rhythms, dynamic based pitch, stuff that would be very difficult in the analog world. We can do more, but if you don't have an understanding of where those things initiated and how they inspired musicians, it's kind of hard to put the pieces together. And I think that's where we're succeeding now in our circuits now, is combining several types of studio craft or effects, so that you can get new sounds or sounds that were only available with at a studio. So the circuits that inspire me are the old ones and the new ones, but the crazy stuff like the DL4 and some of the stuff we're doing, and those things. So
Is there another company out right now that you would say is like doing super intriguing stuff that you are really impressed with?
you know man, it's so hard to pick favorites, because I feel like I've got a lot of friends in the industry, but I think Jamie Stillman with Earthquaker has inspired me in ways to make sounds that are outside the norm, so that people can further create. So although I don't listen to his catalog of effects so much, I think I understand where his forte in creating sound is. So his kind of crazy noisemaker thing is very inspiring to me. I think the Gold Star reverb that we'll come out with tomorrow kind of demonstrates how excited I am about sounds that are outside the norm. I think that companies like Wampler and JHS and Catlin Bread all bring something to the party where they are definitely putting their best game forward, their best sounds forward, the best they can do, and core basic sounds. You can't deny how good their stuff sounds. I have to throw into the mix like Jack DeVille, who has created some of the more pioneering sounds with the FV1 that we're using right now and enjoying success with. I think he designed several of the core products of Catlin Bread, and
yes, that's true.
So he's very inspiring in terms of being a pioneer and a front runner in that whole thing. It's kind of funny once you get a hold of this DSP stuff and you start creating on your own. It's still a little bit like the Wild West, because if you have an imagination and you understand how things work and what musicians want, then you can move forward. So I don't know. All those guys are really good. Felipe Herndon of Felipe Herndon of Carolina Guitar Effects,
Yeah,
puts together fun packages. There's a bunch of good stuff out there. I mean, they're all great. I think 2015 for us has been kind of hard to beat, because we've put together quite a few very interesting packages. That 30 milliseconds and stuff like that's kind of really unique. I can't even point to another effect pedal that does what that one does. So when you kind of get lucky like that to put together a package of sounds that haven't been done before, that's very rewarding.
How did that pedal come about? That was something I wanted to talk about. That thing just I got to get my hands on one. That thing looks so cool.
It is. It sounds more amazing than you can imagine with two amplifiers, because you get a chorus sound that you've just never heard before except on studio recordings. And I don't know, I wish Aaron was here, my DSP guy at the shop, to help line out the truth and myth and lies. But I think what happened is he'd been working on things and had stumbled upon the concept of the Haas effect, or the precedence effect. Both those are names for this delay time that's less than 30 milliseconds. You can't hear the delay, but it creates a chorusing type effect. It has, phasing type effects and stuff like that. The Beatles, Ken Townsend and John Lennon, crafted this sound because John Lennon was too lazy to re-record the vocals or guitar tracks, and that and that brilliant guy Ken Townsend, thought, hey, what if I feed the same track back in with a little bit of delay time? Can I not create something that sounds doubling? And sure enough, he created a sound that's now indispensable studio tool. So when Aaron started to talk about it, I think I pretty much jumped off the floor when I was testing some other sound and went, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we need to do. I want an Abbey Roads, studio pedal. I want all those sounds. I want, random tape modulated double tracking. I want, straight up double tracking. I want the same chamber reverb that we put in, that they use. I want our best approximation of all those sounds in one pedal. And then, the graphics for the case became, based on the Ampex, tape reels and the Grateful Dead Dick's Pick stuff. So the whole package came together. The whole the sound was kind of formulated kind of that fast. It was like, yeah, that's exactly what we need to do, because no one else is doing that. Mm-hmm. And that's a sound that we immediately love. If you listen to Mike Herman's doing You're No Good on his demo of the 30 milliseconds, it's mind-bogglingly good. I think it's still one of the best demos of my pedals that exist. Because it perfectly captures what could only be done in the studio, and now there's a pedal that does it. So that's kind of exciting.
It's very exciting. Yeah, that is a great demo. He does great work. So
shoot, I think his music is like many opuses, many pieces of musical art. So I thoroughly enjoy working with him and the sounds he creates. I think they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, he does. He does awesome. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. So
Oh yeah,
that's fantastic.
yeah.
Oh man, there's so many questions I have, Rob. I'm not just saying that, but we are we have done what always happens is I get to the hour mark and I'm not done talking yet.
Well, you can schedule part 2.
I'm gonna have to because this has been an excellent chat. But most people if they're already at work, they've made the commute, and now they're and now they're watching Mike Herman's demos in their cubicle. So
exactly. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It was just I love hearing all your stories. It's awesome.
Blake, it's so fun. This business is fantastic. I hope people listen for a couple seconds more. I take this job very seriously. I know everyone else does too. I know everyone's trying to make the best product out there, but I somehow feel that I am trying my best to make inspiring sounds. Not just sounds that work, not just pedals that work, but sounds that you can create new music with. And so I hope I'm doing that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I think I'm best at. It's like, yes, that sounds good. That's what I would listen to. That's what I know works for people. And so hopefully that's what people take away from Keeley Electronics,
Most definitely. Well, again, thanks, Rob. I think you're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. Us gearheads really are digging it. So
Great.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep going.
Oh yeah. I'll keep that. My team is kicking butt right now. So watch out for 2016.
Love it. So is there
Okay,
anything you want to I forget to do this sometimes and shame on me, but I'm getting better. Is there anything you'd like to shamelessly plug for anybody who is listening, something coming up new, where they can find your stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
No, I mean I just visit the website, just check out the new stuff because we've got for the NAMM show, we have a bunch of tone workstations, which are 3 and 4 multi-effect type units that'll be at the NAMM show in January out in Los Angeles.
Oh, cool.
So we've got that. We've got a flanger on deck. We have a pedal we call Capital Reverb that's on deck, based on the Reverb Chambers Les Paul, designed for Capitol Records. So, man, it's just there's so much stuff on deck and so much stuff we're having fun with that I just hope people keep on, finding something that inspires them. So that's it.
Very good. Well, I'll definitely put your website link in the show notes. Everybody, you can check out everything that Rob and the team are doing through that link.
Yeah, perfect.
So, thank you very much again, Rob, for taking the time. And
you're very welcome.
I will go ahead and close out by saying, for Rob Keeley, I'm Blake Weiland, and everybody, good luck and good tones.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that does it for this week's episode. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Mr. Keeley for coming on the program. That was highly enlightening and very enjoyable for me. So I hope you guys loved it as much as I did. One last thing is, if you have not yet, don't forget to head over to tonemob.com and hit the Join the Mob button. Because if you hadn't done that already, that means you missed the Christmas special that I put out with Mr. Keeley himself. So that was good times, and you don't want to miss more subscriber-exclusive things like that. So head over to tonemob.com and hit Join the Mob. That does it for this week. I'll be back next week with another episode. Have fun, stay safe, and play with more fuzz. One last thing before we totally sign off here, I just want to remind you
that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.